I threw away 78 years of my life, not all at once, not in one big mistake you could point to and say, "There, that's where it went wrong." No, I threw it away slowly, one quiet compromise at a time. One morning I didn't speak up. One evening I chose silence over truth. One decade I spent chasing something that was never mine to begin with. My name is Earl. I'm 85 years old. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, in 1940. And I am here to tell you something that nobody in my life ever had the courage to tell me. Not my father, not my pastor, not a single soul who loved me. You are throwing your life away right now, today, this morning, and you don't even know it. I didn't know it either, not until I was sitting in this chair, looking at hands that have worked for 70 years, and I finally asked myself the question I had been running from my entire life. What was all of it for? Before I tell you what I found, stay with me, because what I'm about to share took me 78 years to learn, and it's going to cost you nothing but a few minutes of your time, and it just might be the most important thing you hear this year. If this channel is new to you, subscribe. Don't wait. The stories I carry won't keep forever, and neither will your chance to change. I was 6 years old the first time I understood I was different. Not different the way children like to be different, not special, not gifted. Different in a way that meant danger. It was 1946, Birmingham. My mother had taken me to the Five and Dime on 4th Avenue to buy school supplies. I picked up a notebook from the wrong shelf. A white woman grabbed it out of my hand before my mother could get to me. She didn't say a word. She just looked at me. That look! I was 6 years old, and I already knew what that look meant. My mother took my hand. She squeezed it once, hard. She didn't say anything until we were 2 blocks away. Then she said, "Earl, you are going to have to be twice as good to get half as far. Do you understand me?" I nodded. I didn't understand. Not then. But I spent the next 72 years trying to prove she was right. That was the first brick in the wall I built around my life. The belief that I had to earn my place, that my presence was a problem to be solved, that my worth was something I had to demonstrate every single day to people who had already decided I was worth less before I opened my mouth. I built my entire life on that foundation. And let me tell you something. A house built on the wrong foundation doesn't fall all at once. It settles, slowly, quietly. You don't notice the cracks until they run all the way up the walls. I graduated high school in 1958. Top of my class at Parker High School, the colored school, because that's what Birmingham had in 1958. 2 schools, one for them, one for us. I wanted to be an engineer. I had the grades. I had the mind for it. My math teacher, Mr. Clarence Watkins, God rest his soul, he told me I was the best student he'd taught in 20 years. But the engineering programs at the white schools weren't open to me, and the schools that were open to me didn't have the programs I needed. So I did what my mother told me to do. I adapted. I pivoted. I took what was offered, and I made the best of it. I enrolled at Miles College. I studied business administration, graduated in 1962. Got a job at a colored-owned insurance company on 16th Street, the same street where, a year later, 4 little girls would be sitting in Sunday school when a bomb went off and tore the world apart. Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, Carol Denise McNair. I knew those streets. I knew that church. My cousin sang in that choir. I tell you this not for sympathy. I tell you this because you need to understand what it meant to build a life in that world. Every morning you woke up, and you didn't know if today was the day the world decided it was done with you. And yet, we got up, we went to work, we smiled, we said, "Yes, sir," and "No, ma'am," and we swallowed things that should never have been swallowed by any human being. And I told myself, one day it will be worth it. But one day I'll have something to show for all of this. If you're still with me, and I hope you are, subscribe to this channel. There's more truth coming, and I need you to hear all of it. I want to tell you about the moment I realized I had made the wrong bargain. It was 1987. I was 47 years old. I had been working at Consolidated Life Insurance for 19 years. 19 years! I had brought in more accounts than any agent in the Southeast region 3 years running. I had trained half the staff in that office. I had given that company the best hours of my life. They promoted a man named David Hargrove to regional director. David Hargrove had been with the company for 4 years. He was 34 years old. He was white. I sat in that meeting, and I listened to my supervisor explain why David was the right choice. His leadership potential, his fresh perspective, his ability to connect with the broader client base. I drove home that night, and I sat in my driveway for 2 hours. I didn't go inside. I just sat there. My wife, Clara, turned the porch light on at 9 o'clock. I could see her silhouette in the window. She was worried. She always knew when something had broken in me, even before I did. I sat in that car, and I did the math. 19 years. And the math didn't add up. It had never added up. It was never going to add up, because the math was rigged from the beginning, and I had known it. Deep down, beneath all the hard work and the determination and the twice as good, I had always known it. But here is what I did not understand then, in what took me 30 more years to learn. That was not the real problem. The real problem was not David Hargrove. The real problem was not Consolidated Life Insurance. The real problem was not Birmingham in 1946 or America in 1987. The real problem was what I did in response to that rigged math. I doubled down. I went back in the next morning and I worked harder. I stayed later. I smiled wider. I told myself, this time they'll have to see it. This time it will be undeniable. And in doing that, in pouring more of myself into a system that was never going to give me back what I put in, I took something away from the people who actually deserved it. I took it from Clara. I took it from my son, Marcus. I took it from my daughter, Denise. I gave the best of myself to people who didn't value it, and I gave the rest, the tired, the distracted, on the hollowed-out rest, to the people who loved me most. That is the thing I cannot undo. That is the thing I would take back if God gave me one more chance. Let me talk to you directly now. Put down whatever you're doing and listen. You think you're working hard for your family. You think the sacrifice is for them. You think, I'm building something, I'm providing. They'll understand one day. They won't understand. They'll remember. There is a difference between understanding and remembering. My son Marcus is 55 years old. He has children of his own. He turned out fine, better than fine, actually. He's a good man, a good father, everything I wanted him to be. But 2 years ago, we were sitting on my porch. It was a Sunday evening, and he said something I wasn't ready for. He said, "Pop, I used to think you didn't love me. I know that's not true now, but I spent most of my childhood thinking it." He said it gentle, without anger, like he'd carried it for a long time and finally decided to put it down. I didn't say anything for a long time. Then I said, "You were right to think it. Not because I didn't love you, but because love that doesn't show up isn't love a child can feel. Marcus looked at me, and I saw something shift in his face. Not forgiveness exactly. That's too clean a word for what happened between us that evening. Something more complicated, something more honest. We sat together until the sun went down, and it was one of the only moments in my life where I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. 83 years old, my son, a porch, the sun going down. That's it. That's the whole reward. And I had access to versions of that moment for 50 years. 50 years of porches and sunsets and conversations I kept postponing because there was always something more urgent. A report to finish, a client to call, a promotion to chase. I postponed the real life I was supposed to be living for 5 decades. Don't do that. I'm not asking you. I'm begging you. Here is what I know now that I wish I had known at 30. The system will take everything you give it. Every hour, every compromise, every piece of dignity you swallow to keep the peace. It will take all of it. And when you have nothing left to give, it will find someone younger and cheaper to replace you. That is not bitterness. That is simply the nature of institutions. They are not built to love you back. Your children will grow up whether you're present or not. Time does not wait for you to finish being busy. The window for being the father, the real father, the present father, the father who shows up, that window closes, quietly, without announcement. The anger you carry about the unfairness of this world, that anger is justified. Lord knows it's justified. But justified anger that you hold on to for 50 years doesn't punish the people who hurt you. It punishes you. It ages you. It turns you hard in places that should have stayed soft. I spent 40 years angry. Quietly, professionally, politely angry. Angry every time I was passed over. Angry every time I had to explain myself to people who had never had to explain themselves to anyone. Angry every time I swallowed something that should have stayed in my throat. And the only person that anger destroyed was me. The day I let it go, truly let it go, not forgave them, not forgot, but simply put it down and said, I am not carrying this anymore, not because they deserve to be free of it, but because I deserve to be free of it. That was the first morning. In 40 years, I woke up feeling something close to peace. I was 79 years old. 79. I had 43 years of mornings before that one that I could have felt that way. Do the math. I'm asking you to do the math right now. How old are you? How many mornings have you already spent in that same quiet anger? How many mornings do you have left? And what are you going to do with them? I want to leave you with something my father told me back in Birmingham, 1955. I was 15 years old. We were walking home from church on a Sunday morning. He stopped in the middle of the sidewalk, and he looked at me the way he only looked at me a few times in my life, like he was trying to make sure the words went all the way in. He said, Earl, they can take a lot from you in this life. They've proven that. But there is one thing they cannot take unless you hand it to them. I said, What's that, Daddy? He said, Your attention, where you put your eyes, what you decide to look at every morning when you wake up. I didn't fully understand him then. I understand him now. They took a lot from me. The system took years of fair pay and fair recognition. Racism took my peace of mind for decades. Fear took opportunities I was too cautious to reach for. Pride took conversations I was too stubborn to start. But every single morning, I had a choice, about where to put my eyes. And too many mornings I put them on the wrong things. I put them on what I was owed instead of what I had. I put them on what I'd been denied instead of what I could still build. I put them on the finish line instead of the people walking beside me. That is the thing I wish I could go back and change. Not the job I didn't get, not the promotion that went to David Hargrove, not any of the 10,000 small injustices that added up over 8 decades. Just that. Just where I put my eyes. You still have time. You're hearing this now, which means you still have time. Put your eyes on the right things. Put them on the people who will still be there when the job is gone. Put them on the morning, on the air you didn't have to earn, on the second chance you're holding right now, whether you know it or not. My name is Earl. I'm 85 years old. I threw away 78 years learning what I just told you. You got it for free. Don't waste it. If this story moved something in you, if something in here cracked open a door you've been keeping shut, subscribe to this channel. There are more stories where this one came from, more truths I've been carrying too long, and I'm not going to be here forever. None of us are. That's the whole point.